sell all your Bitcoin to buy silver. Do you think now's the time to panic sell? Panic sell all your Bitcoins so we can buy silver, right? Right at the very top. Or has silver topped? Or do you think silver can go to $100, $200, $500, $1,000? Why would I be talking about this? Because I spoke about this yesterday, but I don't think people are paying enough attention. Grant Cardone, we all know him. Billionaire, famous billionaire, did this survey, right? Says you can only choose in the next 3 years until December 2028, either Bitcoin, all in Bitcoin, gold, or silver. What would you put it in? 70% people said Bitcoin. And then, get this, Peter Schiff, the gold guy. Peter Schiff, he says, Peter wants you to vote on this. Peter Schiff did the survey and got 64%, almost 2/3 of people voting Bitcoin as well. Remember, Peter Schiff is a gold guy. I'm choking up because this is funny. He's a gold guy. We all know Peter Schiff. So today, I'm going to tell you guys about a secret that nobody is telling you about of why silver is pumping like this. This is, it involves what's happening in the world, involves Russia, Venezuela. It can explain everything. It can explain why the US dollar is going down, what's going to happen to the US stock market, where is China headed. It can explain where is Bitcoin headed, right? It can explain almost everything if you pay attention. Nobody else explaining why silver is going up like this. This is silver versus Bitcoin, by the way. I've been talking about this ratio over the last 2 days, saying that we're having this breakout here and silver could outperform Bitcoin by a lot. By the way, when the majority of the people are voting saying Bitcoin is going to outperform gold and silver, yeah, Bitcoin could outperform gold. I think that could happen. But silver is an interesting one. Out of the three, if I was to answer that question, I'm not sure what's going to happen in the next 3 years. But since most people, 69%, 65% said Bitcoin's going to win, the contrarian in me says, I think silver would win. Between silver and gold, silver should win. And therefore, between the three of them, I think silver would win against Bitcoin as well. Okay, now the secret reason to why silver is taking off like this, unstoppable, right? I'm probably the only one who can explain this to you because you're not going to hear this anywhere else. Pablo has some insider sources, you know what I mean? So, as you know, I was talking about silver around this $25, $28 area, right? About a year ago. And this is all over my social media, in my posts. I didn't get the exact bottom. The exact bottom was, COVID crashed, $12, $15. You had another low around $19 here. I was started buying around 25, 28, all the way up to low 30s. And I told folks in my Discord and everywhere about it. And look at this parabolic rise. Will it crash? Will it crash? Well, let's have a look. A lot of folks are worried it could crash because look at this, what happened to silver price last few times. And by the way, silver is taking the shine off Bitcoin right now because when silver is running up like this, when silver is taking off like this, right, then basically the Bitcoin, the money is rotating out of Bitcoin into silver, and silver could take off even more. Now, do you think that that if silver collapses, then maybe the money rotates out of silver, out of gold, into Bitcoin? At least that's something going to help Bitcoin, you would think. To answer which one's going to outperform out of gold, silver, Bitcoin, we have to distinguish between the long-term answer and the short-term answer. I'm going to answer the long-term one first, as in the next 3 years, like Grant Cardone and Peter Schiff are asking, or even the next 5 years, 6 years, right? Which one is going to outperform? And then at the end of the video, I'll answer it in the short term, in the very short term, as in the next 3 weeks to 3 weeks to say 2 months, who's going to outperform. So as we can see here, silver does these massive crashes, right? It basically does these parabolic run up, massive monthly. This is a monthly chart, top and tail, and then crash, right? And that was 1980. Nothing happens for 31 years. 31 years, 2011, massive run up and then crash again. People have been hurt by silver so much. Massive run up. That's why people are afraid to buy. We could get, boom, another crash like this. Do you think it would happen? I'm probably the only guy who can explain to you why I think we're not likely to get a crash this time. Yes, there will be a pullback, but not a crash. The reason is because of this. The world has changed. This is not 2011, and this is not 1980 we're talking about. The reason why is India made a historic 1,000 ton buy at the LBMA, London Bullion Markets Association. And you ask, well, what does that even mean? The market already knows about this, Pablo. But before we get to the secret, real reason of why silver is pumping like this, first let's answer the question of which crypto exchange does Pablo He-Man use? Well, Pablo uses exchange that's non-KYC. That means you don't need to show any ID. That means even the exchange can't see who you are. So the exchange can't see you, the IRS can't see you, the tax office can't see you, who you are, FBI, CIA, nobody can see you. Total privacy, folks. That's why I made this exclusive campaign deal with them, right? For limited time only, deposit $100, get $20, do some trading. Deposit $500, do some trading, get $80, right? $1,000, do some trading, $100, right? You get the idea, folks. Now, limited time only. And if you're watching this on YouTube right now, then the link is in the description below. The link is in the description below. But if you're watching on any other platform, such as this one, that's okay. Just click on my profile page, and there you see my stand link or link tree. We click on that, and it should be the first deal that pops up because this is a great deal. Okay, let's get back to the markets, folks. And remember, this deal is only available on the Pablo He-Man link. Only on the Pablo He-Man link. So, this is no news already. There's nothing secret about this. But here's the thing. Why did India place a 1,000 ton, right, buy order that shocked the London bullion market? And what it caused in terms of silver price action was this. It happened back in October, so we put it on a daily chart. It caused basically this, yeah. This was what it caused. The order came in early October, around October 8th. Boom. Silver broke its all-time high and then came down below and then started going up again, right? Now, the reason why this was significant is because India doesn't actually need that much silver. What do you need silver for? China would need a lot of silver. If China placed a 1,000 ton buy order, that's kind of big, but it's not a surprise for China because why? For industrial production, China does a lot of EVs. It's silver because it's a very good conductor of electricity. It's used in batteries. It's used in EVs quite a lot, different components. China does a lot of solar panels, and a lot of silver is used in solar panels, again, because of conductivity of electricity, and also in battery for storage, and also, some weapons production as well. But India doesn't produce much EVs, doesn't produce much solar panels, doesn't build much AI data centers, right? It's trying to. So where does India get the 1,000 ton of silver buying demand from? And people say, see, this is what you see in the media quite a lot. People say, well, the reason is because of Diwali. That's kind of like their Christmas. It's their most cherished holiday period, and because of that, they think the Indian people are buying a lot of silver. They're saying that Indian people would normally prefer buy gold, but because gold's gone up so much, so they're buying silver. I'm here to tell you that's actually wrong. That's actually not the reason. Okay, without further ado, the real reason that India places 1,000 tons. This is not reported. You only hear this from Pablo. Pablo's got the sources, which will prove to be true. You will read about it in the news. 3 months from now, 6 months from now, by then silver is probably another 20, 30, 40% higher, and you're like, I missed the boat. So that's what I'm trying to tell you guys now. The real reason why India placed such a massive order is it's not for India. It's not for India's own consumption, although there is a lot. It is to buy Russian oil. India uses that money to pay for Russian oil. How does this work? It's like this. Since the war, right? Since the war, basically in Ukraine, Russia has been sanctioned. So Russia used to give a lot of oil to EU, European countries, right? And they've all said we're not going to take any more Russian oil. So now Russian oil goes in two directions. One, obviously, China, right, through the Mongolian pipeline, right, through another one, I think, in Kazakhstan. We've heard a lot about that because China just needs a lot of oil. It produces so much stuff. It has such massive factories, right? But the other place, and this is, these are facts. You can just easily Google this. Where Russian oil goes to is India. Why? Does India need as much oil as China in terms of factory production? No, it does not. What does India do with all that oil? India refines that oil and then ships it through, right, the Suez Canal back to Europe. Back to Europe at much higher price because India takes a cut after refining it. So rather than getting cheap oil from Russia this way, because of the war situation, the European Union says we're not going to take Russian oil. Then it gets it through India this way. So of course, I mean, on the one hand, you say how silly this whole maneuver is because how can German industry or French industry survive without cheap Russian oil? Well, it survives barely on expensive Russian oil via India through all the refineries. India makes a very fat profit margin on this. India probably makes like $20-30 billion a year pure profit just by doing that. So of course, India doesn't want to give up on this trade. And if you look at some of the reports of what's been happening lately, is that there was an argument. There was an argument between India and Russia earlier. Russia says, I don't want to be paid. I give you oil. Russia says, I give India oil. And India says, thank you, sir. I will pay for it using my Indian rupees. Russia says, I'm selling you like $100 billion of oil every year. I can't accept your rupees. Why not? Because what can I buy with rupees? Like, I'm not going to travel in India. Russians are not going to India to travel. What do you produce? I mean, compared to China, India doesn't produce that much industrially. What can I buy from India? And so India says, what do you want me to pay you in? Do you want me to pay you in US dollars for your oil? Russia says, I can't accept US dollars because I've been kicked off SWIFT. I've been sanctioned. Remember that? Now, then Russia says, I have a second choice. India says, what if I pay you in RMB, the Chinese yuan, right? You seem to accept a lot of that because you've been kicked out of the European market. Now, basically, you buy everything from China. Your cars, furniture, clothing. You basically, 90% of your imports are now from China. So I will pay you RMB. You're very comfortable dealing with China. Russia says, that's true, but we have a quota. Our national reserve, FX, foreign exchange reserve, cannot exceed 25% Chinese yuan, RMB. Basically because if Russia deals everything, right, not in the US dollar, but in Chinese yuan, then what happens is then China controls Russia. Once again, you're facing the same problem where all of your foreign exchange trades happen in another country's currency, and that country can control you, and it's a big major superpower. Russia's learned this lesson already with the US dollar, right? Because that's why $300 billion of Russian funds, foreign reserves, right, from their trade surplus have been frozen. We all know about that. So Russia said, India, why don't you pay me something, a bit more solid, like pay me in gold. India says, no way I'm paying you in gold because India doesn't produce a lot of gold. India buys, imports a lot of gold. It doesn't have a lot of gold mines. And so they're stuck. But India still wants to do business with Russia. It makes like $10-20 billion a year just by being the middleman for Russian oil. So they settled upon the solution, which Russia says, okay, pay me in silver. If gold is so precious to you, which it is precious to everybody, then pay me in silver. India, by the way, how much does India produce? Why did they strike this deal? Does India produce or have a lot of silver? So this is the world's top 10 countries with national silver reserves. When they say reserves, they mean the ones in the ground, like for mining. Now, Peru number 1, right? Australia number 2, Russia's number 3, China number 4. So you can see why Russia is okay with being paid in silver. Because, hey, look, if India has to go out there and buy a lot of silver because India doesn't produce any silver, right? Then but that buying pushes up silver prices, as we are seeing right now. When this happens to silver prices, guess who gets rich? Guess. Then Peru gets rich if they can get the silver out of the ground. Australia gets rich. Russia gets rich if they can mine silver efficiently out of the ground. So does China, Poland, Mexico, all these countries. So incidentally, India is number 11th largest silver reserve in the world. So India is like, oh yeah, we kind of become rich as well because we have a lot of silver. And if silver price is pushed up by us buying the international silver market, then we're going to make a lot of dough. We would be rich as well. That's what India is thinking. And then on top of that, India imports a lot of silver. It's something like 500 tons, 500 tons or 5,000 tons per year. So basically, just in the last 3 years since the war in Ukraine started, India's imported something like 15,000 tons of silver. Mainly, some for industrial use, but mainly because Indian people love silver jewelry, right? For weddings, for Diwali, which is their big holiday, for all of that. So therefore, what you're seeing is this clandestine, this secret move in the world right now that's pushing up silver prices, and nobody would admit what's going on because this is illegal. This would attract sanctions, right? Essentially, Russian oil cannot go through, right, to Europe anymore. So it will go through India, refine it, and then go through this way, and they call it Indian oil. And India cannot pay Russia in rupees or in the RMB or in gold, so India pays silver. And India gets its silver from this place, the UK, London Bullion Metals Exchange, right? They ship it here, and sometimes China ships its silver to India as well. It happened in October, November, right? China shipped like 600 tons to India as the LBMA borrowed from China. So basically, what is pushing up gold price? What is pushing up silver price? In short, it's basically a reorganization of international trade. It's basically a reorganization and reset of international finance. We all know what happened to gold, which is people don't trust the US dollar or the US Treasury bonds as much as they used to. And one day in the next 3 to 5 years, they'll probably have there will be a crisis in the US dollar and US Treasury bond. There will be even less trust. So therefore, rich people and countries, central banks are pivoting to buying gold instead. They put their trust in gold. Not so much in silver just yet. People still see silver as an industrial metal. So, but however, when you see two major powers, like Russia is kind of a military superpower, India is the 4th largest economy, GDP in the world, 3rd largest by GDP PPP, which is purchasing power parity, right? When Russia and India, these two large countries, right, wants to trade with each other, and they have to bypass the US dollar SWIFT trading system. So then they're using silver to trade with each other, and they don't mind this because then it pushes up the price of silver. And as I showing you guys, China doesn't mind this either because, you know, China's kind of like unofficially the head of the BRICS, and China doesn't mind this either because, hey, China has a lot of reserves as well. So therefore, BRICS countries are happy when gold prices go up. China and South Africa are the 2 largest gold exporters in the world, number 1 and number 2. So basically, when gold prices go up, when silver prices go up, right? Because China doesn't mind that, Russia doesn't mind that, South Africa doesn't mind it, India doesn't mind it. What does that spell? BRICS, BRICS, right? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. That's BRICS. They are creating this new payment system around the world where international trade, whether it's in illicit, illegal, sanctioned oil, or just in solar panels or EVs or whatever it is, it happens in local currencies backed by gold and backed by silver. That is the monetary reset, folks. That is the new world order in money, right? Gold and silver. Okay, catch you next episode, folks.